Hello, everyone. I'm Chase Lee reporting for DallasMovieScreens.com, and I got another movie review for you guys, and that would be Bad Santa 2. Now, if you don't know what this one is, it is a sequel to the 2003 hit Bad Santa, which I adore this film. I like to watch it around the holidays whenever I can because it's just that damn good. With that being said, I was excited for the sequel. I saw the trailers like, well, it's getting back to the original cast of kooky characters and kind of dark, raunchy humor. I'm all down for it. So how was this sequel, this long-awaited 13-year-old sequel? Because, when you have like movies like a Dumb and Dumber and the sequel comes out 20 years later and it's terrible, and then you have Zoolander and 15 years later the sequel comes out and it's terrible, I don't really expect much from this. It's not particularly good and it's not particularly bad, so I thought it was okay. So let's get real and break down Bad Santa 2. So let's start with the writing and directing. In terms of the actual writing, it has lost its original writers from the first one, and I think you can definitely tell. I felt like some of the charm and some of the craziness, I guess, was kind of missing from this one. It felt a little stale to me, and I do like the story overall. I think them robbing a charity is exactly what these characters would do, so I think it's on point for what they would actually do in the film. But the characters are all one note, essentially, especially the supporting cast. There's really nothing to them. They're just there for, crude or sexual gags, and that's totally fine. But I just didn't feel like they were delivered properly. Yeah, the story itself is fine. It actually fits in with the characters, like I said. But most of the humor was kind of hit and miss. I maybe laughed a few times throughout, and for this sequel, just like the first one, the humor is flying at you like fastballs, and everything's kind of just hitting you. And some of the things stick, some of the things do not, and it's all preference. I realize that comedy is very subjective, but for me personally, I think the comedy was, I don't know, like 30% hit, 70% miss, and that's really bad considering the fact that I really like the first one, and I like that kind of raunch, kind of crass crudeness that comes from Billy Bob Thornton's mouth and Tony Cox's mouth as well. Yeah, so the humor for me just didn't really work, even though when it did hit, I did find myself kind of laughing a little bit, so I will give it that. I thought the story was in line, and most of the characters are just kind of one note or just kind of there. Definitely very forgettable as soon as you walk out of the theater. The only ones you actually remember are Billy Bob Thornton, Tony Cox, Thurman Merman, and Billy Bob Thornton's mom, played by Kathy Bates. And I guess that is one of the huge critical errors of this film in terms of story and characters. The kid that plays Thurman Merman, right here on the front cover, he's like adorably stupid in the first one. In the sequel, he is all grown up and he is not adorably stupid. It's kind of sad at this point, and I don't know, that character just didn't work on that front. He was still stupid and still naive and still antisocial, which I get, that's his character, but it felt too hammy in this one, and maybe that's just because of the age difference. Like, he's older in this one, it just seems kind of weird, because in this one it's like he's a kid, it's understandable and stuff. So yeah, I did not really care for Thurman Merman that much in the sequel, even though his name still cracks me up. Acting wise, Billy Bob Thornton completely nails this character, and what I really appreciate about both of these films, the first and the second one, is that there is an amount of heart there to the story, and that's what kind of really draws me into this whole idea of like this crude, crass Santa that like is stealing from charities and malls and stuff, but it also has a heart of gold, and he actually does care about people. He just doesn't like to show it because that's just not him. I actually do like that premise, and what Billy Bob Thornton does is that, yes, he kind of has that hard shell attitude, does not give any flying F's about anyone, but also you can tell deep down he actually does care for people, and he is a little naive and he does get screwed over all the time, but that's just because he is kind of an anti-hero. He does very terrible things, don't get me wrong, but he does have a heart of gold sometimes, and it does shine through, and in this particular one, that heart of gold is there and stuff. I just wish it was explored a little bit more, since it is the sequel, because it was touched upon in the first one, which I like, because this is a very kind of raunchy Santa, And then when we start to get to know his character, and then towards the end of the film, we kind of see like where he's coming from with that heart of gold. You're like, oh, okay. And so for the sequel, I wish they kind of explored that a little bit more, but it happens at the end of the film, so it's a little too late at that point. Kathy Bates, I thought, was a nice little addition, I guess, as his mom, very crass and crude, just like he is. And she did not give any flying Fs. Her character, not her performance. She was committed. I'll give her that. Tony Cox, nice little sidekick. Excuse me, wrong choice of words. He was funny. Let's just say that. Sorry. He's fine. And like I said, the kid that plays Thurman Merman is just really awkward at this point. I just no, thank you. Christina Hendricks, she's there to have sex with Billy Bob Thornton. If you think I'm joking, that's basically what she's there for. It's whatever. Everyone else is very forgettable. Yeah, no, the more I think about this, it is very forgettable. But cinematography-wise, it's a very stale-looking movie. There's nothing really exciting about the way it's shot, and there's definitely sets that are lit that you can tell that they are a set, and that is not a good thing. You want to be sucked into the story, but you can definitely tell as a filmmaker, you're like, that definitely looks like a set. I am taken out of this moment. Editing-wise, the movie's about 90 minutes long. It's going to fly by if you really love the first one. I think you'll find some enjoyment in this one, and hell, you might even like it more than me. But as getting out of this one, first initial reactions, I thought it was okay at best. There were a couple parts that made me laugh out loud very, very hard, but then there was a lot of times that they tried so hard by throwing the fastball crude stuff, it just didn't really work for some weird reason. And maybe it's because maybe the writing was trying too hard, or maybe the delivery was just trying too hard from the actors and actresses. So I don't know. I will say this: out of all the sequels that have come out years later from their predecessor, this is the better one, I guess. But that's not really saying much, guys. Overall, Bad Santa 2, I think, is enjoyable in some parts, but for the most part, for myself, not that enjoyable. Even though I love the first one, the story is right for the characters. The heart of gold is there. I wish it was explored a little bit more. The performances are fine. Billy Bob Thornton does his thing, and he is very likable in that weird, strange, sadistic way. Like, seriously, like, he's one of the worst human beings ever. But with that heart of gold, you're like, I kind of like you, man. I kind of like Willie. So, yeah, overall, guys, it's just split down the middle for me. So I'm going to give Bad Santa 2 a C. Solid C. So what'd you guys think of the sequel, and have you even heard of it? Did you like the first one? Comment in place with my face and let me know. And I'm Chase Lee, reporting for DallasMovieScreenings.com. And tune in next time for whatever I review next. I will see you guys later.